Damascus, just do your work and leave the town, because he said that there are people in Damascus, they also know the signs of the Prophet of the last times. And once they see that, because they are kuffar, they would go after you and they want to harm you. So he advised them to leave the town as soon as the work is done. So let's see what's going on here. What's the miracle here? One day during their stay in Sham, the Holy Prophet ﷺ said to Mesura and Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, let's go to the unbelievers' house of worship and see what they do there. Neither Abu Bakr nor Mesura were too happy to go there, but they didn't feel right about refusing Muhammad ﷺ's request either. So on a certain day they went to unbelievers' house of prayer. There were a great many people assembling there, and the unbelievers manifested their disbelief. When Muhammad ﷺ entered the church or that prayer house, the chains which the great lamps were suspended began to swing under the impact of his holy gaze when he looked at it. Because remember, in one of the poetry he says, Kufr te shirk da rad. What is kufr te shirk da rad aa gaya? That means the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the rad, means that the one that destroys, he's a destroyer of kufr and shirk, until they snapped and broke, that is those chains. The lamp tumbling to the ground in broken shards. The unbelievers who were assembled in the building were stricken with horror and took to weeping and wailing, and they made a great commotion. The most learned among them, however, said, "Quick, shut all the gates, for the man who is to be the prophet of last time must secretly be among us. Let us not him escape." So they close all of this, right? Because they wanted to capture and find out who that is. And here's the miracle that is happening. So the gates were shut, and all the unbelievers got together and looked at each other to discover who they did not know. Abu Bakr and Maysura now feared for their lives and began to weep. But Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to them, "Have no fear, subhanallah, for they cannot see us, but Allah's protective power will cover us, so they cannot touch us." In this way Muhammad ﷺ reassured his friends. The unbelievers meanwhile gathered in one spot and began to search the premises. Now it goes into the description of what happened, and it's quite a bit long, but what basically happened there was, in this building, that just like Rasulullah ﷺ said, they will not be able to see us. And it says right here that that they came and gone, but they could not see all three of them. Subhanallah. And they didn't find it, so they opened the doors and the gates again, and we left. Abu Bakr radiallahu anh and Maysura and Holy Prophet ﷺ went back to the caravan and prepared for immediate departure. And you know, subhanallah, I mean, this is the blessing and the faiz of Rasulullah ﷺ passed on to a lot of the awliya Allah. And you know, even our own Murshid Hazrat Muhammad Ahmad Qadri Sahab, you know, a lot of times people come to him. I was going to say Abdul Qadir Jilani. Indeed, he's our Murshid virtual through him. That, you know, people come to him for blessings on a lot of the official work, and you know, Murshid Sahab reads dua on it, and it helps. There's a lot of miracles that are happening with the faiz of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah has given them, and it's passed on to awliya Allah. And one other miracle here, which is extremely long, and which actually, which actually is, we believe it because, and I'll just go over briefly, because if you believe that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went on Mi'raj from this earth all the way to seventh heaven and came back, then this miracle that is discussed here is, alhamdulillah, all, it's mentioned in this book, and it refers to this ayah of Duha, Surah Duha, which a lot of the different Muslims, they translate it wrong. They say it, did we not find you astray and we guided you, right? But actually, even if you take that meaning, this miracle that took place on the way back from Sham to Makkah, that the author mentions that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given a letter written by Masura to be delivered. They were halfway through the journey. They were still 7 days to reach Makkah. And Masura said, go take this to Hazrat Khadija, because it mentions all the karamats, all the business benefits that happened. He had written it for Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took it. He didn't know the desert, but then it mentions how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when his camel went astray, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his will sent Hazrat Jibreel and 3 other angels, and they fast forwarded his travel. And they actually, let me read this, the way they term it, how they folded the earth. So that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made this journey, which was supposed to be one way 7 days. He actually went to Makkah and came back and replied back from Hazrat Khadija within a day. We will go over it some other time, inshallah. It's interesting to know that. But that's وَجَدَكَ ضَالًا فَهَدَى. So this is, if you really want to apply that, stray, because, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not a stray. He's a camel. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we all know the Shari Nuzul of this surah is that after the prophethood, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam received prophethood, after certain days or weeks, I'm not sure, that the wahi had started to come, and then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a little worried. What was going on? Did I make it? What's going on? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this surah upon him. That, and in it, it mentions all these things actually. That weren't you poor that we, weren't you an orphan that we took care of you? Weren't you poor we made you ghani? Weren't you astray in this travel? We found you the way. Subhanallah. And also there's another there's an event in Mecca. This is before Nubuwah, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was heading towards a gathering where there were some wrong things happening, that by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah made him go to sleep right at the entrance of that house. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's masoom, he's innocent, he's never committed, na'uzubillah, any wrongdoing. So Allah takes care of Anbiya. Because one of the things about Anbiya that you need to learn and keep that in your mind is that awliya Allah, you can become a wali, but you cannot become a Nabi. Nabi is born Nabi, and Rasool is born Rasool. And Allah prepares them. Allah keeps them innocent. Allah keeps them pure from all impurities and wrongdoings. They never commit any, na'uzubillah, any sin. And Allah protects them. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he fell asleep when all of that happened. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ